Previously on Sagebrush and Salt Flats. Attempting the Pony Express Trail is no joke.
We've made the decision mutually to end the Pony Express here in Eureka and, make our way home.
After 3 months, it was time to try it again.
So what did I get myself into?
It's hard to say when there's snow on the ground, but last time I attempted this, I have to say I failed it and the ground was dry. So we might be in the middle of something that we're not really prepared for.
Well, that's comforting since, this is kind of my first overlanding trip.
Our camp spot is at the Fish Springs Station. How freaking cool is this? And the views are spectacular. It is so pretty. What a cool spot. Super excited we found it. I think this is better than trying to drive to a spot in the dark, and we'll just plan to try and make up that ground tomorrow.
Behind schedule and stretching out these short winter days, we have just finished our first night at camp.
We're staring day 2 square in the face right now as we wake up on a cold morning at the Fish Springs Station. How cool is it that we freaking stayed the night at one of the Pony Express stops? So cool to get a night in their shoes, if you will. Very exciting, actually. It was unplanned. The route yesterday just took longer than we thought. So here we are, waking up to this, what's going to be a gorgeous sunrise. As far as today is concerned, I think it's gonna be our most challenging day. I think based on weather conditions and experience from last time, this will be the day that really puts a toll on us and on our vehicles. Honestly, day 2 is when I ended the Pony Express last time. So with any luck, those silt fields will be a little more rigid with the weather, and we'll be able to get through them without too much rigor, too much pain on us, and too much wear on the vehicles. Honestly, that's probably one of my biggest concerns, but my number one concern is our first mountain pass. I'm hoping that the snow isn't so deep or that the trail isn't so slick that we can get through it with little to no issue at all. That's the hope, that's the goal. Day 2. Let's get rolling.
This is episode 2 of Sagebrush and Salt Flats. Brought to you by Agility Customs, Heretic Studio, OnX Off-Road, Scrub Blade Wipers, Super Chips, and Trail Racks.
So we don't know the snow conditions, especially as we get further along the trail. One thing that's kind of nice is that here, the snow's not terrible. Like, it's spotted, it's pretty dry, but you never know what's gonna happen when you go over to the next mountain range or the next one, because in Salt Lake, there was a lot of snow. And yeah, good first night. All in all, we've had some hiccups throughout the trip. Had to go back, cold, wind, just everything. But we're just gonna keep moving forward and try to get to our second destination, because last night we definitely fell short.
This is gonna be the best day ever. You got me looking so fresh. I can't get no better. Baby, I'm a T-Rex, ready to rumble, ready to flex. I'm the king of the jungle. Gonna be the best. Shake up. I got a red fruit smoothie. James Brown bumping like I'm living in a movie. Look at me. I do the cha-cha-cha. Look at me. I sing a na-na-na. Tippy-tap-tap like I'm Dick Van Dyke. Chim-chim, I need you to be by my side. Spoonful of sugar, gonna go with it. Oh, baby, pass me the butter, gonna roll with it. Gonna be the best.
With yesterday's escapades and our delay in schedule, backtracking a little bit, and obviously filming at the same time and doing all that stuff, we are just so much further behind today than I expected. And as a result, I don't think we're going to be stopping at any or as many of the Pony Express structures. So we're coming up on one now. I want to say it's just called Overlook Canyon or something like that. And we're going to just keep cruising. I'm not going to stop at this one. We already passed Boyd Station, did the same thing, just drove right past it. It's just, we have too much ground to make up today. And I don't think I can justify taking the time to stop and still try and complete this on a reasonable schedule. So that is the current plan going forward.
through the Pony Express Pass, and looks like there's cows coming up, and one is in the middle of the road. Where we were trying to get to last night, but we are here now, and it's, now we know what time it is, 11 o'clock. It's pretty early still.
Looking straight ahead scares me a little bit because I thought we were getting away from snow, and I'm starting to see more of it. And we haven't even gotten to the Rock Springs Pass yet. And that's probably my first real big I'm scared of it pass today. Okay, here we go, making our way up our first mountain pass today, and I see some white spots up on the ridges, but this is not what I expected as far as the amount of snow. I thought there'd be a lot more. So I'm actually feeling pretty confident that we'll get through this pass without much issue, I hope. Knock on wood, right? Yeah, this really does look pretty good. Even at the really high elevations, it's looking good. Awesome! Good. So we'll get through this one, and then we have like the Shell Creek range, and that one is taller, so I anticipate more snow there, but I also think it's a little more maintained. So we'll know more when we come up on it. Yeehaw!
Wild man, all eyes on me, keep it out and swipe it like it. Look, I made it. Hashtag, yo, I'm the greatest. And the game don't stop till I get on top. Are you ready now? Whoa, yeah. I'm making moves. I'm ready to go. I'm making moves. Up and go. I'm never gonna stop until I'm on top. I'm gonna do what I do. I'm making moves.
We are on the backside of Rock Springs Pass, and well, there is snow. The good news is it hasn't been so deep that it's impassable, but I think any later in the year, or if it had actually been a decent snow year, this just would not even be a possibility. So I'm feeling pretty fortunate so far. This is our first of, I want to say, 3 or 4 passes we have to do today. Hopefully we can just get through all of them just as easy as we did this one. That's the goal. But we're just on that downhill slope now and trying to get out of here safe and sound. And then on to the next one, because that's kind of the theme of today. My fear every time I drive in snow is that I'm going to just do something stupid. So as I'm driving this, my whole process, my whole brain power is on don't be stupid. Don't go too fast. Don't turn too sharp. Kind of let the momentum of the vehicle do what it needs to do and trust the traction in the tires. That's like the key for me in driving in snow. Just especially like this stuff where it's not super deep, but it can get slick quick. That rhymes. That's fun. Yeah, so my whole thought is as I'm driving through this, just like anticipate corners and don't do anything stupid. Because doing stupid stuff is what gets you in trouble. Don't be stupid. And here we are. This is the actual Rock Springs, and wouldn't you know it, the springs are covered in snow. So we're just gonna keep cruising. With our first mountain pass out of the way, done, boom. We make our way into our second one, which is higher elevation, but I do remember it being a much nicer road back in October. And around this corner, we're about to find out if it remains the same today. I'm kind of hoping so, because then we can get through it decently quick if it has some maintenance on it and if it's not covered in snow. Because after this, it's a lunch stop. And gotta tell you, getting kind of hungry. Okay, so far so good. So far so good. Yes, stay like this. Please stay like this. Please. Oh, this is so good. 46, 47, 48. Oh yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Yes. Oh, please. Especially because I know we get up in some elevation on this one. Well, we had a little bit of snow. I don't know how much more it's gonna happen, but it does look like it's been skimmed or something, because it's not as deep as it is on the sides. So that is not bad. And I mean, we're almost halfway through this pass. Oh, what a blessing. I really did not know what to expect on this one, and I thought we were gonna be in for it. Whoa, man, awesome. This is good. Yeah, it's easy to drive. I'm not feeling like I'm sliding all around. Oh, and it's pretty too. So pretty. I wish we had a little fog though. I mean, this blue sky doesn't feel very winter, does it? Just bright. Oh, here we go. Lunch and a little bit of pavement and some vault toilets. You know, this is what I'm talking about right here. Feels freaking good. And we've made great time. 12:16. Freaking pulled in for lunch at 12:15. I think we're caught up and back on schedule. So that feels awesome. Let's eat some food. Lunch has been had and we are back on the trail, heading for Egan Canyon, one of my favorite historical locations along the Pony Express. Should you find yourself adventuring out here on the Pony Express trail, there will more than likely come a time that you run out of fuel. Now, on Cool Rick, I do not carry any extra fuel. Well, I do. I don't carry it in cans, however, because I have installed an auxiliary tank from Long Range America. So I have 17 gallons of extra fuel that I can, at a push of a button, summon into my main tank even while driving, and I can just keep going along, which is great. However, if you're like to fuel up, if you're like Jevin, you probably need to carry some extra fuel in cans, which he's doing with some Rotopacks. So he has four 4-gallon Rotopacks, and because I am an expert at 5th grade math, that is 16 gallons of extra fuel. So roughly the same amount of extra fuel that I'm carrying.
I don't think that's enough. I only filled one of them.
What?
I'm joking.
Make my heart move, bro. All right, so we're gonna get him filled up, and then we can continue down the trail. The goal is to hit Eureka at some point and fully refuel. That's hard to say. Fully refuel today. right, Jevin, are you doing all 4 or just 2? I'm just gonna do these 2 because I don't really want to climb on the roof, and I'm hoping that I can get to the gas station with only using these 2.
So now that we've gotten Jevin all filled up, it is time to fill up my Jeep, and well, the cool thing about that is I have the Long Range America tank. So all I have to do to fill up is literally push a button, and it will automatically pump the fuel from my auxiliary tank to my main tank, and it can do it while I'm driving. So here we go. And just like that, I'm refueling at 2 quarts per minute. So we stopped just to put the drone in the air for a minute, but while we're stopped, my pump is running. So it's pumping gas from my auxiliary tank right now into my main tank, and I wanted you to just kind of hear so you know that it's working. Listen for the clicks. So there you go, that is how you know the fuel is moving from one tank to the other. In episode 1, I dropped the name of explorer Howard Egan, who was the original founder of Simpson Springs. However, Howard Egan was way more than just a footnote in the history of the Pony Express. As a prominent member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and Western explorer, Howard Egan was immediately trusted by the owners of the Pony Express, Russell, Majors, and Waddell. Egan was loyal to a fault. In 1851, he returned home after being away for 22 months to find that his wife Tamsin had a 3-month-old baby that wasn't his. After learning the identity of the father was James Monroe, a family friend who had traveled with them as they fled from Nauvoo, Illinois, Howard felt duty-bound to confront Monroe for the defilement of his family and set out to meet up with Monroe as he too was returning from a business trip. Howard sat with Monroe to discuss how he had wronged him, and then gave him 30 minutes for contrition and preparation for his death. As the 30 minutes expired, Howard Egan stood and shot James Monroe dead. When stories of the Wild West circulate, they are often of ruthless gunslingers who kill without mercy, and some of those men, like Jack Slade or Bill Hickok, were operators for the Pony Express. Egan, however, was cut from a different cloth, and while he still shot and killed a man, he turned himself into the Salt Lake City police and was later acquitted, citing mountain common law, which obligated the nearest relative to a female who was seduced to take the life of the seducer. Howard Egan contributed even more to the Pony Express by hiring 2 of his sons, Howard Ransom Egan, who was 20 at the time, and Richard Erastus Egan, nicknamed Ras, who was only 18. Because the records of the Pony Express were managed so poorly, it's hard to verify any of the claims for longest and fastest ride. But between young Howard and Ras, we have contenders. Young Howard's claim is for the longest ride, and one he did multiple times. Being stationed in Salt Lake City, young Howard would ride westward with the mail from Missouri and meet his brother-in-law halfway around Rush Valley, where we just passed through, and exchange mail bags often in the dead of night. Knowing that his brother-in-law had a crush in Salt Lake City, young Howard would intentionally miss the meetup, which would require both riders to ride until the mail was delivered. This would put young Howard's brother-in-law smack in Salt Lake City with his crush for a few days. Ras, on the other hand, holds the potential record for the fastest ride, just 4 hours and 5 minutes from Salt Lake City to Rush Valley. This all brings us back to here, Egan Canyon, the namesake of Howard Sr. This canyon was notorious for attacks on riders. One such incident took place as young Howard was riding from Shell Creek to Butte. As he passed through the mouth of the canyon, he noticed a tribe of indigenous peoples camping and waiting to ambush him. Rather than backtracking, he trotted forward, pistol in hand, and spurred his horse as he was nearly on top of the tribe. This tactic worked. It spooked and scattered the would-be ambush as they all bolted in different directions, giving young Howard an opportunity to break for the next mountain pass and lose them through the cedar-covered hills. I wish I could dig into all of the stories around the Pony Express, but if there is this much to talk about surrounding the name of a canyon, then you can imagine that every mile of this trail has a story to tell. As we make our way out of the west end of Egan Canyon, there's a small cemetery with unmarked graves, one of which is believed to be the grave of a Pony Express rider.
Heavenly bliss. I'm back for
go. This is the part of the trail last time that really took a toll on us and on our vehicles. So I'm hoping that the snow helps to dampen the dust, and honestly, it'd be nice if it helped to smooth out the ride a little bit, because we have got a long ways to go, and it is 3:21. So it's not looking like Eureka is in the cards tonight. I think tonight would be considered a success if we can get past Ruby Valley. And although this isn't kicking up as much dust as it did, and the ruts are still just as bad, and making it plenty slow as we kind of, left and right our way through this and try and stay on the high end of these ruts without sinking in. So, yeah, but the dust is definitely not as bad. It was so much worse last time, like unbearably worse. Obviously, we ended up turning around. Our first silt field is in the books. It is behind us. Good riddance. Cool thing, we did get to see the wild horses running. That's always fun. And now we're back to the trail, to the grind today, because that's what today is, just a grind through this thing. Back into our pattern. So approaching our next mountain pass, and then our next silt field, and then our next mountain pass, and then our next silt field. And hopefully we can get that all done before the sun drops. If not, we're gonna have to find a spot to hunker down and call home tonight.
We're going through our 5th mountain pass here. We just came across another group of wild horses, and they were like running alongside our cars as we, drive up the trail. Pretty wild to see them up close like that. They're running, but they're kind of staying right off to our side here. It's 4:15. The sun is down over the mountains, so it's starting to get cold, and it's a clear night. Like, clear nights mean that it's gonna be cold, like very cold. It's already 23 degrees and it's dropping. Clouds are nice because it keeps some heat in, but yeah, this is gonna be a rough night in a tent. Definitely gonna be taking advantage of my electric blanket.
Ooh, baby, yeah. At the stars, now we'll live it with the lights shining down. I think we made it now, yeah. Rolling through the city with some cash to blow, going 20 miles an hour just to take it slow. Gotta drink it in, yeah, we'll drink to this. And when the daylight fades, we can make our getaway. Look how far we've come, my love. Fly away with me tonight. We could hop a flight to paradise. Take it straight to the top. There ain't no coming down. We're on a flight to paradise. Spent a lot of years just pretending we were chasing down that fairy tale ending, and I could see it so clear. I think we finally made it here, yeah. Looking at each other, it's hard to believe we could celebrate an evening with the finer things. Gotta drink it in, yeah, we'll drink to this.
Well, we've made it to camp. Took us all freaking day. It was quite a grind. and everything is frozen. Everything. The ground, the Jeep, like look at my tail light.
So why even Overland? Like I keep getting the question, like why do this? It just seems like a lot of driving and then you sit around and eat at a campsite.
Yeah, the thing that I want to do is the thing I shouldn't do, and that is define Overland. Everybody has kind of their own definition for it, but for me, it's that the journey is the destination. So if you are into seeing something new, it's experiencing new places in a way that nobody else is experiencing them, or very few people are experiencing them, then Overland is what you should be doing, because just today, that's what we did. I mean, we freaking drove with a pack of horses. Like, no one does that. They were, I don't know, 30 yards in front of me, and we were driving the same direction with that. It was awesome. And yeah, sure, I was driving, but I was driving with horses, or even just like the crazy sunrises, sunsets, all of that stuff. The challenge of the drive, it's just, I can't even describe it. It's the same thing as saying, like, why are you hiking? All you're doing is walking to go sleep on the ground somewhere. Well, there's an exhilaration that comes from it that you can't really describe until you do it.
And I get the same question all the time as, you know, when about hiking or climbing. And it's just being in these places that not a lot of people get to see and access, and it forces you to try different things, try new things, kind of push your limits. I mean, it's quite enjoyable to be out here in nature. Wouldn't you say so?
I would say so. And just as the unbearable cold of a clear night started to set in, we closed the book on day 2 of the Pony Express. This is still not the end of the journey. In the next episode of Sagebrush and Salt Flats, Jevin and I find an absolute treasure along the route, which delays us further and forces us to drive through the night to find camp. If you haven't yet, subscribe and turn on notifications so you can be there when the adventure continues. Until next time, I'm Justin B. McBride.
Shake up, I got a red fruit smoothie. James Brown bumping like I'm living in a movie. Look at me, I do the cha-cha-cha. Look at me, I sing a na-na-na. Tippy-tap-tap like I'm Dick Van Dyke. Chim-chim, I need you to be by my side. Spoonful of sugar, gonna go with it. Oh baby, pass me the butter, gonna roll with it. It's gonna be the best.